Hi, welcome, you made it! Welcome to the Hilltop house and our swinging party up here. Well, I wouldn't say swinging party, I'd say more socially distanced, so it's really just going to be the two of us today. So come on in. Oh, wait, you want to know about the room that you're standing in? This is the Gancon. This is kind of a traditional breezeway. This was actually the most recent addition to the home, built after the Riesters traveled to Japan. Dorothy took a lot of inspiration from the traditional architecture, kind of pulling from elements of the breezeways and the openness that they had separating the outdoors from the indoors. And notice that there is even growing ivy over there in one spot. When it was originally built, there was actually a live stand of white birches right there. So come on in and I'll give you a tour of Dorothy Riester's Hilltop house. So welcome to the kitchen. This might be one of the smaller portions of the home, but it is big on design impact. You see, Dorothy was an artist, multimedia artist. So a lot of the things that you'll see here in the kitchen and throughout the house were actually concepts and creations of Dorothy's. So if you look around this kitchen, we have tile work. Some of them are Dorothy's, some of them are said to be Mercer tiles that Dorothy found in a friend's barn and used them for this kitchen. She also created accent pieces like this pendant lamp. This is out of ceramics, and it's really playful use of light, shape, and design, as you can see as the light comes through it. So Dorothy and her husband Bob, they basically did the entire interior that you see here. When they had the original part of the home shelled out by a local contractor, they then came up on weekends, after work, in between times, to do the entire outfitting. So the cabinets and the built-ins that you see here, including the welded range hood by Dorothy, and the tile work, as I said before, was stuff that they all did. Alright, now, what would be a cocktail party without some snacks and cocktails? So follow me to the living room and we'll get all set up with that. Follow the cheese log. Come on, cheese log. We also have mushroom caps. These are some great recipes that I found in an Everson Museum cookbook from the 70s called A Culinary Collection. This was in the collection here at the art park, and I thought it'd be fun for our little snacks today to make something pretty authentic to the 70s. Mushroom cap. Well, I'm so glad you could join us for the tour today. The Hilltop house here at Stone Quarry Hill Art Park is a really special place. Built by artist Dorothy Riester and her husband Bob Riester, the home is kind of an amalgamation of different styles and influences, and basically Dorothy's own creative outlook on the world. Now, Dorothy designed the home to fit into the landscape, taking in the angles of the hillsides, of the valleys, of the surrounding area to make this a really beautiful modern residence.
Of the home, Dorothy said, "I designed the house to be a summer place, to be small with low maintenance, and to incorporate and be part of the landscape. The house would be shaped like a cone on its side, 2 stories high on the northwest front, with a curving facade that generally would follow the contour line of the hill. The roof would slope to 1 story on the southeast facade. The house was to be 40 feet long and 36 wide, narrowing to 16 feet. The converging line of the home's walls would be continued visually by a sight line along a garden path to a pond, a tree row, and a view of the southern hills."
Originally advertised as 23 acres scenic, Cazenovia. They came out, they purchased the land, and then for a few seasons they actually camped out here trying to find the perfect spot on the 23 acres to build their home. Originally designed as a seasonal residence, they designed and had shelled out what you see here at the Hilltop house, this original portion, in the late 1950s and early 60s. After a local contractor, Don McCabe, shelled it out, Dorothy and Bob came up on weekends, sometimes with drinks, and outfitted the interior pretty much on their own. That included built-ins, using salvaged barn wood that they got from a dismantled barn that they actually helped to dismantle and brought up as you see right here. It adds warmth and color and texture, as does all the other design choices here in the house do, to make this a really special, artist-built environment that also served as their seasonal and then full-time home. Now, as I said before, Dorothy was an amazing artist. She handcrafted so many of the things in this home, including these ceramic plates that you're seeing here. She also did these candlesticks, these egg cups, these little snake napkin rings, as well as other elements you'll see through the home. She created tables that she made out of cement, ceramic, and metal. She did built-ins. She would even use scrap metal to make the towel bars and hangers in her bathroom. Any chance that she had to create something, to make something special, one of a kind, Dorothy would do it. And she was always creating. It was almost compulsive for her. She never stopped creating. Again, in her 100 years, she was always making something. And that's evident in the walls, in the floor, in the ceiling, in the artwork that you see here in the Hilltop house. All right. Well, we're not at a premium for seating here. There's a lot of it available, which was good because Dorothy and Bob were known to have parties at their house, and so they had many spaces for all their friends, family, and loved ones to sit at. Here I'm sitting at some built-in stone and sandcast banquette seating that Dorothy and Bob created in the home. The wall is of the sandcast material, and Dorothy actually angled it slightly back, so when you lean back, it was prime comfort. And as you see the floor down here, might just look like a regular stone floor, but they imported this Pennsylvania blue stone in, and they hand-laid it themselves, often sometimes between martinis. Now what's really special about the floor is what's underneath it. Bob was an innovative engineer, and so beneath they put a radiant heat system that would lightly warm the floor up, so the cold stone would actually warm up and be able to be this nice warm presence underneath their feet. Now I'm being a bad hostess. I haven't even offered you a drink. Come on, I'll come get you one. All right, martinis it is. Let me pour you one. And here you go. One of these truly special elements is this fireplace. This is made out of one of Dorothy's proprietary mixtures of sandcast, which is sand and cement, as well as some pigment, over a metal armature. Now this is not the first fireplace, nor the second fireplace. This is fireplace number 3. See, Dorothy didn't give up. When the first one's solution, the mixture, completely slid off the armature, she wasn't deterred. She rebuilt it again. And she was so excited about it that she lit a fire for when Bob was going to be home, as the story goes, but forgot to put a food shelf in. And so the home filled up with smoke, and they had to demolish it again. So that's when number 3 happened. And this is number 3. It's very organic, very fun, and very intriguing in its design. And Dorothy made that, as well as making the flue pole that you see up there on top. She hand welded that. Again, all these little details, all these elements that Dorothy did by hand. Now I know I'm saying that they built in a lot of the things that you'll see in the home, but that's not to say that they didn't have a keen eye for furniture design. They did. And the examples of the furniture that they collected here is exquisite. We have over here a chair by designer and artist and sculptor Harry Bertoia. This is called the bird chair, and we love this bright blue color that it's in. It's actually somewhat of a rocker. It has these rubber gaskets that allows it to lightly bounce. And we still have the original footstool. And that's just one example of pieces that you'll see throughout the home. Well, as you sip and enjoy your drink, let me tell you a little bit more about Dorothy and Bob. Dorothy was an artist from the get-go, announcing when she was very young that she was going to be an artist, and from then her path never wavered. She and Bob met in high school, actually in detention, the two of them, and began a lifelong romance. The two of them originally started their life outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, And when Bob's company was purchased by Carrier, he had the option of resigning or relocating, which is what brought the two of them to the central New York area. They spent time in Syracuse establishing their life out there. Dorothy both took and taught classes at SU, and she became very involved with the arts and culture scene of Syracuse, New York. As I said before, they became very involved with the Everson Museum. Then there's the Syracuse Ceramics Guild. And Dorothy was showing, exhibiting locally, as well as receiving commissions. She really hit her stride. So then, as I said, in the late 50s, they purchased the land out here and built this amazing home. Here we're sitting in the banquet seating, built in, of course, by Dorothy and Bob, painted in a lovely avocado color, and you're seeing the artwork on the walls. Dorothy collected artwork, objects, and knickknacks, and throughout the home you'll see that evident everywhere, alongside some of her own work. Now, Dorothy was a chronicler of her own life and of her own work. She wrote 2 books, one, The Art of the Land, which is written about the land, the geography, the geology of the landscape here at Stone Quarry Hill Art Park, as well as a memoir called An Art of a Life. And it's from this that we were able to derive so many stories of a very amazing life lived. Dorothy only passed away a few years ago at the age of over 100. And so throughout her life, she never stopped creating, she never stopped making, and this home is a true testament of it. Throughout the home, you will see all these handmade details that she, along with the help from Bob, created to really make this home special. Do you have your martini? All right, let's go tour the rest of the house. First up is this beautiful floating staircase that Dorothy and Bob installed themselves. You can see with the wood, the metal, and the bracketing, it floats there in space and really is an eye-catching, iconic piece of this home. It allows the light to pass through, and visually you see through the staircase, whereas a more enclosed one would really block off the space and make it feel claustrophobic. Instead, you see right through to the other side of the home. Let's keep going. Now, you wouldn't think that a bathroom would be on a house tour, but this one is actually really special. You see, Dorothy did all the tile work that you'll see in the bathroom. She handcrafted it herself, even in the shower, where there's some beautiful curved ones. There's a little soap holder, there's a little bar, all she did out of ceramics. She also did a very cool ceiling in here, which is basically a grid of wood, and it creates this really interesting texture. Then, there's this. Isn't that amazing? Dorothy wanted to create almost a stained glass window between the bathroom and the hallway. And to do that, she used a plastic, kind of a fiberglass sheeting and these pieces of wood, and then used the light in the bathroom when it was on or off to create this stunning piece of art that was literally built into the wall. She didn't have to hang art on the wall. She made the wall art. And I'm going to show you another example of that right over here. I'm going to take a seat for a second in one of these sawbuck chairs. We have 2 of these in the house, and they're beautiful in this wood and leather. Again, another example of the amazing eye for design that Dorothy had in creating and acquiring pieces of work. So I had just said that there's another piece of the house where the wall is actually art. You don't have to hang art on the wall is actually the art. And that's right here in the garden room. You see, Dorothy created this kind of in the same materials that she did the fireplace. It's called sandcast. So using our particulate and cement and some other things that Dorothy kept to herself, she created these panels that she then installed onto the wall. But they're not just flat panels. Dorothy used all these elements, from natural elements like wood and stone and shell and bone, to bits of metal and gears, and she'd even carve and imprint on it. If you look closely, you can even find a piece of fork embedded into the materials of the wall. It's lively and it's interesting, and your eye carries throughout it and is always finding something new. She used basically any chance to create something surprising. She loved that element of surprise, which is found throughout the rest of the park grounds. And it was something that she cultivated, curated, and created herself throughout the home and the art park grounds to a great extent. I'm going to take a seat right here next to the Hilltop stove. This import that Dorothy and Bob had put in here was because this was originally a seasonal home. And if you've been to CNY, Central New York, you know that it can get quite chilly, even in the spring and fall months. And because this was a seasonal home, they needed to have a way to keep it heated enough that it was going to be enjoyable for them to stay in. So this cast iron beauty would actually put off enough heat for them to come and stay here, even when in the late summer those nights were getting pretty cold. It's a thing of beauty, and I hear it's kind of like the Cadillac of these cast iron stoves, so good on them. Now, before we head over to another part of the house, I really wanted to kind of highlight how Dorothy saw any opportunity she could for making something, for creating artwork or a display or a design, even evident underneath the floating staircase. You see that she has a collection of different objects, from a stone garden to actual bones to using plants and a Sumier ink drawing over there, and an entire skull to create this tableau of art underneath here that created, again, a moment of interest, a moment of surprise, a moment of discovery that she had, and it was this playfulness that was really special to her design aesthetic. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's keep going. Now we're going to travel to a newer portion of the home, which was designed and built in the early 70s. Much like the Gangkong that you went through, they designed and had it again built by a local contractor, but to get to it, which we call the library, we get to go through this amazing hyphen that connects the older and the newer portion of the home that Dorothy made extremely special by her choice of materials and what she filled it with. So come on in. Welcome to the plant room. As I said, Dorothy and Bob made another addition onto the home in about the early 70s, and they did that because they loved coming up here so much that they wanted to make this their year-round residence. And that's when they built the library that we're going to go see next. But to go from the original home to the library, Dorothy constructed this really inventive hyphen and used it to fill with her love for plants. And let me tell you, during those winter months, being able to come up here and see this brightness, this green, this life, is something that is really special and something that I cherish about coming to the home. All right, let's go on to the library. Welcome to the library wing. This is by far my favorite room in the entire house. And what I love about it is what's missing from it. You see, if you look around, there's no supporting columns, no internal walls or supports. It's just open space. So you can see the room, hexagonal in shape with the band of clerestory windows going all around. There's even a skylight coming up from the center of the ceiling and a whole wall of sliding glass doors looking out to the forest beyond. And this is a very smart design. Because there's no internal supports, Dorothy had to work with the structural engineer to figure out how it could be safely done. See, we get a lot of snow out here. So they wanted to make sure that if we got a huge dumping of snow, that the roof wouldn't just collapse in on itself. And she used an inventive banding system on the outside of her home, like a metal belt like this, to basically contradict the external force and hold it in to make sure that if there was a big load of snow on that roof, everything would maintain standing. And let me tell you, we've had a lot of snowstorms since the 70s, and it's still standing.
Of designing the library, Dorothy wrote, "The main house had been designed to open into the landscape in view. This new addition, called the library, with its western wall of glass overlooking the deep woods, was to be like a nest suspended in the woodland. No trusses or tie rods were used, as they would destroy the feeling of space I wanted to achieve."
Now the table that I'm sitting at, as well as the chairs, also highlights Dorothy and Bob's keen eye for furniture design, for good furniture design, for great furniture design. This is the iconic tulip table. The design was originally by Eero Saarinen, who also did the St. Louis Arch, as we know. And it's really iconic, that one shape that tapers down towards the bottom and comes back up. He also did chair sets that mimic that same shape. But the chairs we're sitting in here are Marcel Breuer chairs. You can see they're the Seska chairs, named for his daughter Francesca, and it's the tubular metal along with the wood and the woven backs and seat. These are both iconic furniture designs, and they fit perfectly in this very curated home that Dorothy and Bob built for themselves. Okay, now have you had a cookie? Again, these are from the Everson cookbook. And this one was actually started off by Dorothy. So we think that she might have made these maybe for some parties, because they did used to have wonderful parties here, and events, and art gatherings. This room has a projector screen that would pull down that they might have shown many of their slides, have people give lectures, and people would come in here and play music. This house was always active and vibrant, and so part of that, what we love to do, is telling the story of that. This isn't a static existence that they had. They had one filled with life and energy and art, and it's something that they brought in, as well as bringing people into their home to celebrate it, which is what you can feel in the space. One thing that's special about this room is, if you look around the clerestory windows, there's a shelf there with a collection of work. Not all of it is Dorothy's, but what Dorothy was involved with this was the Syracuse Ceramic Guild's annual pottery fair. And it said that each year she would pick one piece that she would buy and then showcase somewhere in her home. So there's an extensive collection of many different artists in many different styles of ceramic work throughout the home and along this built-in shelf along the windows. It's pretty special. And the hits just keep on coming. Look at this amazing chair. This is called the egg chair. You can see kind of how it holds you in like an egg, or has that shape for it. So see, in Syracuse there was a wonderful furniture distributor called Bronson Furniture that then combined with Smith Furniture. And Smith Furniture is still here on Erie Boulevard and still sells amazing design furniture from all over the world. This chair and footstool set, these were originally designed for a hotel. And the special design of it, these little wings that you see here, that you can kind of see over, were part of this design to kind of give privacy in a hotel lobby. So you could be in the chair and still have your privacy. All right, we just have one more area for me to show you. Make sure to grab a cookie and follow me. All right, on to the last portion of the home, which is actually the outside of the home. Have you seen it yet? Have you even tried the cheese log yet? Should I be insulted? All right, anyways, let's go outside. And welcome to the patio. This portion was also built when Dorothy and Bob built the original part of the home, and we have some great photographs of them with having their lawn furniture out here, looking at the views, the wildlife, even some deer and goats at one point, and they really made it special in just how they wanted to. Being on top of a hill, and being on top of a very rocky hill, made it difficult to hold water up here. So Dorothy and Bob actually hand dug some of these plums that you see, and Dorothy created these ceramic light sculptures that were set into it. They also built this wonderful wall and had this wonderful view that you can see with other pieces of artwork around. The landscape throughout is stunning. You can see the hills of Madison County. There's artwork scattered throughout. You can even see some Roger Macs right here on this front lawn. So they would have their parties extend out to here. Perfect place for cocktails, if you ask me, or even a couple nightcaps. So now it's your turn to go out and explore, look around the house, have a picnic, and enjoy the art park. Thank you for joining me today for this little virtual party tour of Dorothy Riester's Hilltop house. Take care.